Hey guys, how we doing?
All right. Friday night.
Fort Frankens.
Just when I think nothing how could it get weirder? Fox is televising a medical exam of Trump. Is that true?
Luke, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah. You and I are good. I don't know where Frank is, so I can't say. I'm right here.
Oh.
Just can't see me. What's up? How you guys doing?
Oh, we're all right.
Good. I can hear you today, Lou. That's a good thing.
Hear me?
There we go. Good. Seems like we're all set. Boy, that's really odd. That's really strange. Uh Frank, just to catch you up real quick, I helped Lou out a little bit today on a couple of measurements. I
Yeah.
decided, and we started talking a little bit about this the new Chromecast with Google TV. Lou, this thing's phenomenal.
Is it?
Yeah, it really is. I'm going to get another one for a spare TV in a spare bedroom that I have. And if I didn't have Roku built into the TV, like for my daily driver, I'd probably be getting a third one for that. It's that good.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So whenever you get everything, you know, set up and you're ready to start going, let me know because you might seriously want to think about this thing. It's really, really nice.
That's going to be an option.
Yeah, I would seriously consider it.
Yeah.
So what's going on with? I mean, you never know which way it's going with this coronavirus relief talks. Literally 1 minute, he wants to get more on the table, and the next minute he says we're going to halt it till after the election.
Well, didn't he offer 1.8 trillion today now?
Yeah, he did. What was it? I want to say the Senate was 1.6. He offered 1.8, and Pelosi wants 2.2. Does that sound about right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds about right.
Um,
I didn't see the breakdown because I know she wanted money for, municipalities and stuff. I don't know what else.
uh, Look, you guys think this guy's even playing with a full deck yet? I mean, he's all over the fucking map.
I think he's got too many steroids, and just from what I've heard about COVID, if you've had a good dose of it, they said that you're really foggy for a couple weeks. You know, as far as comprehending and just verbalizing and putting two and two together. I mean, the trouble was he was a dipshit to begin with, but this seems even worse.
It does.
I mean, you think about it, what he wants to do what he do with the White House position? Oh, he's fine. He can travel. So he wants to do what? Florida Saturday, and I hear Beaver County Monday,
Yeah.
which I'm assuming is the cracker plant. He'll try and take credit for that, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
So how many? My God, told Patsy he knew. Frank, did you know there were 25 new cases in Lawrence County today?
I did not. That's not good. That is not good at all.
Jump to 25. Our neighboring counties in Ohio were just put under red, which is our equivalent of yellow, I believe. Trumbull and Mahoney.
Hmm.
So you're starting to see the resurgence from, I believe, schools starting and athletics.
Mhm.
High school football is allowed so many in a stadium. There's a certain breakdown, but say Mohawk probably, I don't know if they play here tonight. I don't know what that stadium capacity is, but I'm guessing they're going to be allowed 500 in there, 500 to 600.
Sounds right to me.
Yeah, I would think.
So now the cases are surging again, and it seems to be a correlation between these kind of things. Wouldn't it be a good time to reevaluate this? Because what's the need? I mean, let them play, I guess, but why do you have to have fans in the stands at this point?
I would think let in the parents and family, and in a small school like this, I mean, you will be pretty well spread out. You'd have max maybe a couple hundred either side. I mean, you wouldn't have a ton. So maybe a 500 limit actually up here. I would say that if I can remember right, the capacity might be 3,500 for both sides.
I think that's fair.
So about 1/7 of the capacity then?
Yeah, I mean, they're allowed 25%, so that'd be, I guess, technically, 750, 825, 850 would be around 25%.
Yeah. Are they going to have ushers and stuff like that, making sure that people are distancing, or are they just they all congregate together, or what?
I'm not sure what the heck they are doing.
Yeah, it's. I don't know.
I don't know. Fauci was on earlier saying these numbers are about 30,000 too high every day. You had another 40,000 across the U.S. today. He says it needs to get under 10K right now. And I think I'd go with his numbers more than anybody else's.
Well,
Kind of makes me laugh. Go ahead, Patsy.
I'm sorry, Frank. I have a tendency to agree with Fauci on just about everything. I mean, maybe it's because it's the engineer in me, but Fauci seems to be playing he looks at the data. So basically, it means he's looking at the numbers, right? If you're an engineer, it's all about numbers. I find it hard to see what he is saying and the stance that he's taking and what he's pushing as either reckless or uninformed. I mean, he's playing. He whenever he's talking to you in terms of numbers, right? I kind of side with what he's saying almost always. Maybe it's me, but that's just how I'm geared. What do you think, Frank?
Oh, I agree wholeheartedly. I mean, I think one of the things that's lost on, the snapshot of the debate is Pence was up there trying to he was massaging the numbers the way he wanted them, but even the massage that he gave them and the talking point that he used about, well, the doctors all said that if we, 200,000 would be a really great job. He acts like it's over now. He acts like nobody else is going to get infected and die. When we hear right now that, infections are rising and we're going into a critical period now with the weather changing, people in school, more exposure. It's almost as if he thought that was the end of it. Because I get to speak on TV tonight, I can use these numbers and that's what's going to be memorialized. into granite from here on out, and it's silly.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. What I guess my biggest problem is, and it's one of the things that most people in my position have, and it's not a slight. Don't misunderstand me, but because we do things so much, so often, and Lou knows this because we shared an office for how long. We just assume that people look at things and understand things the same way we do, right? And yeah, you know what I'm saying. And it's not a slight. It's just that's how we're geared, and it's sad whenever you have people who understand the numbers and expect everybody else to understand it the same way you do. It's really, really hard, and I don't know. Well, you've been in an office with me where I'm sitting there and I'm saying, how the hell do people not understand this? You know, I mean, we had people across the hall from us who would sit there and they just couldn't understand what you and I were talking about.
No, you're right. You try and explain something, and I'm thinking, well, Patsy understood it. What was her name? Dina understood it.
Yeah.
And is it lost? Are they speaking a different language? Well, let me throw this at you here. I pulled up the coronavirus thing on MSN. Pulled up Pennsylvania. There are now 17 counties considered concerning status with positivity rate above 5%. Lawrence County is number 5 on that list, is 7.2%.
Lou, whenever you and I were talking earlier, you made a good point, and the question you asked was, was it because schools were opening now that we're seeing the spike? Frank, both of us pretty much conceded that it can't be anything else other than schools opening that we're seeing the spike now, and you're now having kids who are now becoming who are interacting with each other and they're bringing this stuff home. Are we missing something, or do you think that we're? Well, what's your opinion? I guess is the better question.
Well, I think as a general rule across the state and maybe other states, that's probably accurate. I would think there might be. I have some inside information, I guess you'd call it, that a bunch of staff and residents at a local nursing home just tested positive. So that could really be contributing to that spike in cases.
Nursing homes?
One specific nursing home just had about 20 new positive cases within the last 2 weeks.
Here in Lawrence County?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, well, if they all come in on the same day, that would explain the plus 25. That's why sometimes you don't know the reason or where it's coming from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, nursing homes like the White House West Wing, everybody in close proximity, they're going to get it.
Could you imagine having a loved one in there right now, knowing that you're just like, it's a ticking time bomb. As soon as it gets in the building, they're exposed.
Yeah, the thing is, I would be terrified right now if I had to put a loved one, a family member, a parent, an aunt, uncle, a grandparent, whatever the case may be, in a nursing home right now, especially in Western PA. I would be terrified to do that right now because, it's bad. Look at what happened to Mercer County, or not Mercer County, Beaver County.
Beaver County, yeah.
Oh my God. How can you, in good conscience, I understand, like, sometimes you just don't have a choice. You realize that's the best place for them, and I get that, and I'm not criticizing anybody. and I honestly believe that making that decision is going to be really hard to begin with. But now you're making that decision on top of this. That's got to be heart wrenching. I'm sorry.
Yep.
It has to be.
Absolutely. And I really feel for the people that, were in situations where, let's say you were hospitalized and you had to go into transition care, and they said the best place for your transition is skilled nursing. Go to this skilled nursing home for a little while, and then you can go back home. And then they're stuck there.
Yep. Yep. Scary thing. Scary. I think I'm well, the three of us are very fortunate that we don't have to make that decision. That's got to be an absolute killer decision to make.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's tough for me to do it with my mother-in-law.
Was that before or after this outbreak?
Well, she passed away almost 2 years ago now, but the cops found her wandering away from her house at 4 a.m. almost on 224. Dementia was setting in. There was, you get somebody like that, you have no choice.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, unfortunately, it's if I was making the Trump middle class wage of $400,000, I could afford somebody to stay there 24/7, but that's, what do you do?
Very limited when you have those kind of situations.
Yeah, it is. And it's like you sit there and there's not a really good decision, right? It's just like, which do you think is the least worst bad decision?
That's pretty much what it is.
Yeah.
Heartbreaking.
Yeah, it is, and you feel helpless, and if you're somebody like me, you get very angry, right? It's just tough. I mean, I don't want to sound like we're blowing it off, because by no means are we, but it just seems like, I mean, there's no other way to put it. It's just a really, really hard decision to make, but with some people, and I know a few people specifically, and I'm not gonna mention their names here. They just don't have a choice. It's like, if I don't get somebody to help my parent or grandparent with the chances of them getting COVID being what it is, they're going to die anyhow. At least this way they have a chance of surviving a little bit longer. Very, very hard thing to do. I mean, it's just heartbreaking to see.
You know what? I don't know if you had this on your list, but here's two interesting things. COVID, that the singer on Saturday Night Live, that country singer Morgan Wallen.
Yep.
Saturday Night Live booted him yesterday.
Yep.
For not following COVID-19 protocol, partying without a mask. They brought in Jack White to perform tomorrow. And then the next thing was, did you happen to see the clip of Turtle, Mitch McConnell, saying he has not been to the White House since August 6th because they do not follow mask wearing, which he says, I have a couple in the Senate that don't, but I insist on it.
Mask wearing or social distancing.
In social distancing. He said, that's my rule in the Senate.
There was at least an idea that Mitch McConnell always looked at Trump as, let's say, a necessary evil, for lack of a better term, right? I'm half tempted to believe, and Lou, you and I talked about this a little bit. We touched on it, out in your driveway, that he's kind of looking at Trump like his usefulness is gone now, right? He used Trump and he took advantage of Trump's clout or his political was political clout for as long as he could. And now that you're seeing what is happening, he's going to kind of shift focus and try to do as much as he can to protect the Senate, or at least the Senate Republicans. And if it means sacrificing Trump, then that's what he's going to do. Does that sound reasonable?
I would agree. I'm surprised he hasn't done it sooner, to tell you the truth. I really think, that's all he did. He didn't, I don't know who said it way back. All we need is for somebody there to sign a bill. We'll do the rest.
Yeah.
He's really been a de facto president when it becomes the conservative matters.
Yeah.
I mean, who else has driven the agenda?
I mean, he's pushing back on Trump with regard to how much money they're going to give in this, how much money they're going to give in coronavirus relief. Obviously Trump wants to give away a lot right now because he wants to look good right before the election. So, McConnell's got the power, and at least at this moment. But I would wonder, is it too late? Is it too late to distance yourself from Trump? If the wave is going to happen, will it bury McConnell himself?
I don't believe it's going to bury McConnell, but I'll tell you what, it's going to cost him a couple he wasn't counting on at this point in the game.
He's probably going to lose Lindsey Graham.
He's what?
I think he's going to lose Lindsey Graham.
There's a good chance there, and I was telling Patsy earlier, he's going to lose one in Georgia, it looks like.
Wow.
I think it's going to be, because both senators are up for a vote, because one was an appointment and the other one is a regular up. And yep. I'm guessing he's going to lose Loeffler, or however you pronounce her name there.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And Frank, you and I have talked, and I've said how many times I think you're seeing a blue wave, right? I think you're seeing a House, Senate, and White House that are all going to go Democratic. Now, I also believe that that's going to be a 2-year stint. Okay, but that's just playing history. I think you're going to see these branches go Democratic, but I think you're only going to see that for 2 years. And I think in the midterms, in Biden's midterm, because he's winning, in Biden's midterm, you're going to see either the House or the Senate, probably the Senate, swing back to Republican, if you follow history.
Well, history would say so for sure. There was a time, I think, when was it Clinton had almost his whole first 4 years. I can't remember which one it was. There was a time where one of the presidents had almost their whole four years. They lost some ground, but it wasn't like they lost the chambers. History would tell you that, but I don't know about this time. I think the problem is you've got these occasions where you have to have the right seats up to make a change. Now, the House is always going to have their seats up. Every 2 years, every seat comes up. Okay. But the number is going to increase so much this time that I don't know. Can you expect them to flip 60 seats in one election? Because they're
can't see it.
No, I can't see that. And then the next time the Senate runs, you got to remember they're rotating, right? So the next group of senators, there'll be like a third of them basically up for election. Will that third be in places that are? Do they already have Republicans in that third? Do they already have people that are like on the Democrat side that are vulnerable for some reason? And those are things that have to be looked at to see if you really have a chance at flipping that Senate back again.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, I'm still gonna. I honestly believe that, and we've said it here, and I know I've said it here. Those midterms were a shot across the bow. Right. This was those midterms should have been an attention getter for the Republicans, because that was, to me anyhow, sneak peek of what we've become. And what Trump has done in the 2 years since those midterms just reinforces my position. And
You know what? It could be very interesting in 22 for the Senate.
in 22, yeah.
I brought it up. I'm looking at some of the names. Some of these on there, you got to say there's a lot of safe ones. Then there's some idiots up that you never know.
Yeah. You know? But I mean, historically, the Democrats should take the House or the Senate and have the House, the Senate, and the White House for the next 2 years after the election, right? And then the Senate should move Republican in, if you're following history. Frank, am I wrong?
If they don't make Puerto Rico and DC states and don't give them senators.
Yeah.
Which is a very good possibility, and I hope they do it.
What's interesting is, the stuff that you don't see on the headlines, right? Which is the state and local elections, where the Republicans really have a very strong grasp on those things. And to their credit, they played it like a champ. The Democrats really should have seen this coming, but I don't know if they did and couldn't do anything about it, or they were just blindsided. But there's a rule of thumb, and I promise you, both of you and everybody watching us have heard that all politics is local, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even whenever Trump loses, and I honestly believe he's going down. He's going to lose, and you can see by his posture that he's already setting up excuses. What the Republicans have done on the state and local levels is going to take forever to undo. Nationally, with the national elections. But with the state being and the local ones being so Republican, is that a balance, or do you think that the Republicans still kind of have a stronghold, a foothold that's going to be very, very, very hard for the Democrats to overtake?
You know what? And take a state like Pennsylvania. Well, you could take Wisconsin in the same vein, and also Michigan. And even probably Ohio to a lesser extent. Texas, the gerrymandering is so bad that the last time, for an example, 2 years ago when the state reps are up in 18, wasn't it something like 54, 55% of the vote went to Democrats in the state, and they're still down by about 8 reps?
Yeah, it didn't really matter, did it?
Same thing it happened in Michigan and Wisconsin. Same way. It was like, it wasn't even like it was 50 and a half, 49 and a half. I'm talking, it was 4 or 5 points or better.
Yeah.
And so, and that's, if, they got it straightened around as far as the congressional seats, but not as far as the state. I mean, you got the state Senate's gerrymandered also, the way it's laid out. And that's what hurts us in this state for a lot of things, a lot of ideas.
I don't think it's going to change much for a little while. I think we're going to see that kind of result for a little while in those states, Lou and Patsy. And I think that the trickle down won't necessarily occur right away in the states. However, because all politics is local and it's very much cause and effect locally. In other words, if you get some policy that affects you very close to home, and the person directly who implemented that policy, if it doesn't work out for you in your community, their head's on the chopping block, so to speak, very quickly.
Right.
So, you know, people generally identify better with Democratic policies. Um, it's just not packaged right a lot of times for them to vote in their own interest. A lot of times in the national elections, but in a local election, when they see that the policy is not benefiting them or their family or their community, and it's wrapped in this Republican bow, uh, I can't see them keeping a stronghold forever because you've got to benefit your constituents, and they just don't do things.
Oh, I agree.
And the problem is too is the messaging. They're better at lying than the Democrats are at telling the truth.
Oh yeah.
Amen.
So they do convincingly, right? You saw Pence. I mean, he was. If you didn't know what, if you were just tuning in and you're one of these fucksticks who don't know or haven't been paying attention, he was very convincing, and he lied through his teeth.
Yeah.
He flat out lied through his teeth, but he was very convincing. And that's hard to fight.
You have to have people who are willing to dig and understand and look back at the facts, and that's why my initial reaction that night was I felt like he did okay, because I know that their supporters will legitimately feel like they had a champion out there that night. I didn't think he was good because I thought he was lying through his teeth the whole time. But you have to have a fact checking, and you have to have people that are willing to dive a little deeper.
Well, Frank, here's my question for you, and do you think that he was actually playing to people who follow this stuff and know what's going on, or do you think he was playing to the people? And I mean, my wife said today that it's probably like 2%. I thought that was a little high. Because I honestly believe that with as polarized as we are, you cannot be an undecided. And I've had people on the right who I work with who have said the same thing, that there's just no way there's that many people undecided. Now, maybe there are, because there are, almost 360,000 people in this country. So maybe there are 1 or 2%. But do you think he was actually playing to his base, to the opposition, or to the people who are undecided? Because if they're undecided, they're not paying attention. And he was far more convincing, I think, than people give credit for.
I think he was trying to straddle the line between his base and the undecideds. And I think that he knew through some kind of polling or some kind of data sets that there were certain buzzwords that he wanted to talk about. He wanted to talk about taxes. He wanted to talk about the economy. He wanted to talk about the liberal agenda in the courts. Because I'm going to tell you, this is an underrated thing. We haven't talked about it enough as Democrats, and that is, we've talked about it on this show, but generally as Democrats, I don't think we've talked about this element enough. I remember Lou saying, like, okay, give them what they want. Give them the court, give them the Roe v. Wade. Now what do you argue? What do you go in front of the national, public with and say, you got to elect Republicans because we're going to deliver what? You've delivered your anti-abortion stance, but now he wants to scare people into thinking that if the Democrats get elected, they're going to add Supreme Court justices. So he left that seed in people's head. And there's people out there that prey on that or think about that. And that fear might be enough to turn them against Biden, because they're thinking, well, if I give him that opportunity, then he's going to go in and change this Supreme Court dynamic, which was an important issue to me. Now I feel good about it because I've got a 6-3 majority, and I really want to get rid of this loudmouth, foul-mouthed beast that we have as a president. And I feel comfortable, at least for 4 years, of resetting things. But if they're left with this fear in their mind that maybe they lose the majority on the Supreme Court, maybe they don't want to go ahead and replace the loudmouth, foul-mouthed guy who gave them the majority.
Yeah. Well,
you know what? It may have a little bit of a bearing, but I still think the top things going on right now And you know what? I forgot to mention last night. I told Patsy, don't forget, Kamala did make a good point at that debate about, yeah, you give them the Supreme Court, guess what? There goes your health care. You're losing pre-existing conditions. You're losing choice. You have parents out there. Your costs are going to go up. This is what you're looking at also. So
Yeah.
I'm thinking maybe that offsets some of that. And I also, speaking of the Supreme Court, I should have copied that article down. I read an article about John Roberts today. And even though he's mainly conservative on a lot of issues, he has delivered some things to the other side as far as liberal goes, because he looks at the rule of law. And they said that I don't know whether somebody had inside info or what, but if this court goes 6-3 and Biden gets elected, there is rumor that he will step down so that Biden can appoint a liberal judge so his career is not dirtied, and that would bring the court back closer to 5-4 almost immediately. To make so his reputation would not be tarnished, so to speak. He's looking out for himself.
Well, and you think about it. I mean, if you've served on the Supreme Court, and he's a relatively young guy, okay?
Yeah,
I
he
mean,
is.
What's his age? About 60?
Yeah, and he's been there how long?
Long, yeah, he's been there long enough to be the chief justice. I mean, I'm going to say since George H.W. Bush, so you're talking, let's say 12, 14 years at least.
I was going to say 15, but it's probably about somewhere in that range.
I mean, think about the ability to do whatever he wants to do. I mean, you want to go teach at a law school, you want to be the dean of a law school, you want to be the head of a law firm, you want to be on counsel at the best law firm in the world. Just call him up, right? I mean, he doesn't have to do anything but call and say, "I'm available, guys and gals," and he's got a job for life. So whatever he wants to do. I mean, and he's got a legacy, like you said, he'll have a good legacy. I mean, I wouldn't be that surprised. He may be, I don't know how many years you can be a chief judge and really enjoy it. Like, to me, it seems like something somebody would want to do when they're 65 to about their 75 or 80, whereas, I mean, I'm 50, early 50s right now, and I want to go out and try cases, and I want to mix it up. I want to do a lot of fun stuff like that. I mean, I wouldn't want to be sitting in a chamber listening to everybody else have fun, calling, balls and strikes. That's not that fun.
Yep.
I mean, there's just so many ways everything can go right now, and it's. I just hope this idiot isn't juiced up enough that he croaks before November 3rd. As far as he could go November 4th and on, that's fine with me. I hate to sound kind of cruel saying that, but that's the truth. Because he, what? How many days? We down to 24, 23?
Today's the 9th. Yeah, about 20
something.
Yeah.
And you think about if he's going to be doing a lot of this rambling on and off stuff, and the rats are leaving the ship like McConnell, and is Lindsey going to bail too, or some of these other ones? Man, it's our hope. I mean, I'd love to see that Senate swing from 53 Republican to 53 Democrat in one fell swoop.
That'd be nice, wouldn't it?
And you know what? If they play the cards right after everything the Republicans done in the last 20 years, and add, boy, wouldn't it be neat to see Puerto Rico and D.C. bang, bang, and say, oh, now all of a sudden you got 57 out of 62, out of 104 right away. Or whatever it would be, or bump up to.
not to not to change subjects, because I really don't want to, but there's a few things I think we need to discuss, and this is one of them. Okay. Um, well, let me get this up on our screen. Where the hell is it? This is right.
You froze.
Really, really weird. You guys back?
Yep.
Do you guys remember the name Derek Chauvin?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was the asshole that decided to put his knee on George Floyd's neck for
8 minutes, roughly.
8 minutes. Yeah. He apparently posted bail, which I have no doubt, and I mean this in all honesty and sincerity, I have no doubt was because of the GoFundMe page that they had set up for him. Because this piece of shit actually got a GoFundMe page, which says a lot about our society. But according to NBC News, Derek Chauvin can leave Minnesota due to quote-unquote safety concerns. Don't forget, he's out on bail, so by definition, Frank, correct me if I'm wrong, they really can't leave their municipality. Normally it's the city, but in this case, I guess it's the state. Derek Chauvin, the former Minneapolis police officer charged in the killing of George Floyd, can leave Minnesota due to, quote, safety concerns, unquote, a judge said Friday. Chauvin, 44, is facing murder charges and manslaughter charges after a video showing him kneeling on George Floyd's neck for about 8 minutes during an arrest on May 25th. He was charged in late May and was in custody for months prior to his release on Wednesday, with a $1 million bond. That sounds a lot more than it actually is, considering it's 10%, but still. I guess my question is, Frank, you're the attorney. Do you think that this was something that is, I guess, I don't want to say reasonable, but can you understand the ruling allowing him to leave the state?
I'm going to say this: it's really hard for me to comment without knowing how credible the threats are, and I'm going to hope, just really hope, that the judge that made this ruling has seen some very credible evidence, and not just based upon, fear mongering, that for some reason it's in the best interest of justice to have him secreted somewhere. Because look, like we talk about with Trump at various times, a lot of people in our Discord want to see him lose the election and tried, in front of the American people. They don't want to see him die of COVID. They don't want to see anything happen bad to him. They want to see him serve his time, so to speak. And I think people want to see, by that same respect, people want to see Chauvin, and I'm sure the judge wants to see him rightly tried for what's going on.
Yeah.
And if he dies before then justice isn't necessarily served. So I'm very hopeful that this was based upon credible evidence. I can't comment because I haven't seen it.
Well, I mean, I guess my question is, I understand you haven't seen it, but from the outside looking in, I mean, this is your wheelhouse. This is what you deal with. But from an engineer's point of view, okay, I guess, whether I like it or not, being immaterial, I can almost understand the judge allowing it to happen.
But what is
that a fair statement?
I mean, possibly. I mean, that's what I'm kind of trying to get at by my comments in a roundabout way. But what does the judge think also that by crossing a border, an arbitrary border between Minnesota and Wisconsin or Minnesota and whatever state he ends up in, that somehow the sentiment of, if it's that strong of a sentiment to want to harm him, that's not going to carry to another state? That whoever's looking to harm him couldn't go to another state and do it?
Well, that's a good point. But you are limited in what you can do.
Yeah.
Do you think it shows favoritism or anything like that, or do you think it was just simply a defendant in a case who has at least a perceived feeling that they could be in danger before their hearing?
Yeah, I think it's. I think it's got to be a little bit of.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but my personal feeling is they're gaming the system. But that being said, do you think the judge really had much of a choice?
Yeah, I think he did, and I get your question, and I've kind of, I know you're playing devil's advocate and wanting to get
a little bit. Yeah, I am.
You're wanting to get the pot stirred here, and I appreciate that. I think that honestly, I don't know 100%. I don't want to indict the judge on this, except to say my gut feeling is there could have been other things done. It feels a little sketchy to me. It feels like I don't know the precedent for doing this, and I really highly doubt somebody who was a civilian. Let's not even take race into the equation. Let's just say a civilian, a non-police officer. I can't see anybody like that getting this kind of treatment.
Oh, I agree. Lou, what do you think? Do you think this is bullshit, or can you look at what happened and said, you know what, okay, I may not like it, but I kind of understand it?
You know what? I would have never granted him to leave the state or municipality. That's the, you know what you did to answer for your sins. That's up to you to keep yourself protected.
Do you think that maybe the judge looked at this like, I would much rather have this person in my courtroom than fearing for his life until then? Or I don't know. I'm trying. I guess my stance is, and Frank, you hit it right on the head. I am trying to play devil's advocate here. It's really difficult for me to do.
Yeah.
But again, I guess my question is, at the end of the day, would you rather see this guy sitting in the courtroom, or would you rather see him victim of vigilante justice? I know what my personal feeling is, and I'll be honest, it's not legal.
I mean, here's the thing. Like, there's a friend of mine who has said this before, and I guess here's the thing. Like, the lawyer in me says, let's have justice played out, if it's true justice. The human being in me is like this. Honestly, I don't know Derek Chauvin. I don't have any skin in that particular game. If I sat down on the park bench next to him and he accidentally spontaneously combusted through some weird happenstance, my life would go on. I mean, oh well.
Maybe the judge didn't want that on his hands.
Possibly. It's very possible. The other alternative is this, guys, and we haven't explored this.
Apparently, he was fairly safe inside the lockup. He could have stayed there and not bail.
But yeah, whenever he's out in public, all of a sudden there's a problem.
Yeah.
It's a great point. It's a great point. I have somebody who knows what it's like to be on the inside, and don't take that the wrong way. It's because she's part of the system.
Right.
And I will tell you, she has told me things that will make your head spin. And Frank, you've had clients, right? You've heard.
Oh yeah, I've been in there numerous times, not only in that jail, but in federal penitentiaries and in high security penitentiaries. It is a totally, listen, if you've never experienced it, it is an eye-opening experience to go through. I walked into a federal penitentiary in Ohio to visit a client when I was in law school. I had to go through 5 different locked checkpoints to get in to see that person. And it started from outside the building, walking through like a metal set of gates with a barbed wire over top of it.
Yep.
And once you're in that 5th place, you start to think, gee, what would happen now if they riot or something goes bad? Because I can't get out now. I mean, like, I got to go through 5 locked doors. I'm done.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a scary experience. There's a different smell. There's a different feel inside an institution. And that's why a long time ago, you and I, we've all talked on this show about how I abhor the loss of liberty. Because, man, it is something that I would not wish on my worst enemy.
No. And it kills me, Lou. It kills me whenever and you and I have both been subject to people who sit there and say, boy, I don't see how they have it so bad. They get 3 meals a day and they get a roof over their head and everything else. They don't get what it's like to be in that system and be, I mean,
yeah, they're the same ones that don't want to wear a mask and can't stay in their own house for a week or 2.
Great point.
Great point. Yeah. They I always tell people, and a lot of people I work with, I always tell them the same thing. Look, you're missing the point because you always see things as how you are, not how things really are, right? It's frightening to me how people just don't get what it's actually like. I mean, we all 3 of us in one form or another have seen what it's like. It's not a very pleasant experience by any means. I told my wife over the last course of 27 years, I've told her, I can't tell you numerous times, absolutely unmeasurable times, that I could never do her job. I could never work in the environment that she works in. Because of the environment, because of what you have to deal with, which has nothing to do with your job, just the environment that you're in. It takes a very special breed to be able to handle being in a place like that.
Going in every day, yeah, that's something.
It's absolutely frightening. To put an end, because we only have a few minutes left. Trump signed off on a $1.8 trillion counteroffer to Pelosi. Pelosi wanted 2.2, and we touched on this earlier. And that's trillion with a T. Okay, and I don't think people realize how big $1 trillion is. To put it in layman's terms, it's a fuck ton of money. It's an absolute obscene amount of money, more so than I think most people can actually comprehend. This coming a day after he decided that he's going to tell everybody that if you want a stimulus check, you better vote for me, which really doesn't make sense considering if you vote for the other guy, you're going to have to wait till after the election anyhow, so take your chances. What do you guys think? Do you think that this is just pandering or posturing just to posture, or do you think that there's any legitimacy to this at all? And I understand that's a weighty question, but let's just play along with me. Lou, I'll start with you.
I guess he has to make it look like they're trying to do something, even though he's that far down in the polls. I mean, to me, he's grasping at straws at this point. But you know what? There's a load of people out there at the end of their line right now. There's a lot of unemployment. They can't, and I was on a conference call or conference Zoom the other day about the industry, and they had some interesting things to say, but remind me Monday because we're going to be running out. But you're going to lose a lot of businesses. You're going to see a lot of loss of buying power this holiday season, and it's not far off. And truthfully, you can see the hypocrite Republicans all of a sudden say, well, if Biden gets elected, look at all this debt. And blank, because like I think, Frank, or you pointed out before, because of the Democratic messaging, if Biden gets elected, he's going to take the fall like Obama did. Oh, Biden crashed the economy. Had nothing to do with every bullshit policy they had the last 4 years, but it'll be his Democrats' fault again. Yeah. Just like it was in 2009. Obama come in on the 21st of 2009, and magically he lost all those jobs. Yeah. And Trump came in on the 21st on 2017 and created the unemployment rate overnight went from 10 to 4. It was amazing.
Yeah, and the good thing about that is that dynamic is an unfortunate reality of our society. It's that, what have you done for me lately? I can only see what happened in the last 24-hour period of the news cycle. It's exactly spot on, Lou, but it is what's finally kind of kicking Trump in the ass right now because they see the economy tanking. They don't give two shits why. They want to fix, and he hasn't been able to fix it. And that's fortunate because it's really exposed who Trump is, that he's been behind the curtain, that, try to take credit for all the other things that were going on. He doesn't really have a plan or a game plan, and it came back to bite him in the ass. But, we are in a situation where Biden is going to have to pull a rabbit out in the next year or two if he gets elected to sustain that momentum, because we are what have you done for me lately society. Patsy, remind me what your original question was when we were getting into this topic, because I wanted to address that too, though.
Boy, Frank, you're asking
the stimulus. Them coming is a stimulus
yes.
A gesture or
Yeah. So here's the thing. Trump, what I heard when I was down in Baltimore, this was great. WBAL, which is a conservative radio station, and Bloomberg were trying to wrap their heads around Trump's strategy, because they were like, geez, it doesn't make much sense that he walked away from the table. But maybe, and then they try to come up with their great, let's pat Trump on the back for being such a great businessman. Maybe he's just so confident that he's like, screw you all, I'm winning this election, and then I'll write the checks out after I win to make myself look good then. But clearly that wasn't the strategy, because he realized the stock market tanked when he tweeted that, and he got scared, and he came back to the table and said, let's give more money. And he's very afraid and thinking, maybe I'll save myself, maybe I'll save my skin right now if I can get enough money out quickly. So he's got no real strategy. And what'll save, I think, everybody in this country is if he loses, everybody that's left to clean up the mess is all going to want to say, we had a hand in making this right. Whether you're, in the minority party or the majority party, the Republicans in the minority are going to say, look, we had a hand in making this right. We tightened the leash a little bit so that you all didn't get in too much debt, but we had a hand in this. And the Democrats are going to say, well, it took us to kind of get us out of this. So they'll all try to take credit afterwards.
Well, look, let's be honest. Okay, Trump's going to do everything he can. He's going to take credit for everything he can possibly take credit for. Before we go, one thing I wanted to touch on. as the last couple of days have gone on, the next debate was slated to be a town hall meeting, and after everything that's happened, it was determined that it's going to be a virtual thing. Trump bailed on it. He said, quote, "I'm not going to waste my time," which is an absolute bunch of bullshit. So in response, Biden decided that, you know what, fine, I'll just do it all by myself. And so Biden opts for a solo ABC town hall after Trump's bailed on it. This is coming from the Post. New York Post. Democratic nominee Joe Biden will participate in an ABC town hall with voters in Philly after Trump announced Thursday he was boycotting. How the fuck in a presidential
Doesn't know what that means.
anything in Miami over a sudden format change? Well, here's an idea. Maybe you shouldn't be fucking hot with fucking coronavirus, and you wouldn't have to worry about this shit. But I'm sorry. In any case, Biden decided he's going to go along with it, and it will just be a town hall with just him. I asked Lou. I literally talked to Lou about this literally in his driveway earlier this morning. What do you think about that? And number two, and I'll start with you, Frank. So there's two questions. That and number two, do you really care if there's another debate or not?
Not really. I don't know that there's a whole lot more ground that would really be covered, given the personalities that would be involved, especially Trump's demeanor and those kind of things. Do we need to see another example of the train wreck that is Trump? Oh, I mean, it sure would drive home the point, but do I need to see it? No, not at all. Do I think anybody else needs to see it? They know who Trump is at this point. Yeah, I don't think it's necessary. I don't think it's a big deal if it doesn't happen. I think it's going to kill him if Biden goes on that stage by himself. I think he's going to be, ruining the moment that he made this decision. But maybe he is really hopped up and weirded out on all these medications he's on, because he doesn't seem to be thinking too clearly.
Lou, do you think that Trump's going to take, or I'm sorry, Trump. Do you think Biden's going to take advantage of Trump not being there, and you think he's going to point out the obvious?
I think so, and if I was him, I would.
Yeah.
Another debate isn't going to help Biden. I think the town hall may help him, just to point out, look, how can you be near him? Look at all the cases. All he has to do is point out the facts of the last 2 weeks. And I saw a great quote by somebody today. They watched Trump. They said he's higher than a giraffe's ass.
Beautiful.
He's on so many different things.
You know what? Go ahead.
I think it's just Biden just hammered the facts in. You want to be near a super spreader event? How are you going to do anything unless you get rid of COVID?
Yeah. You know what, Frank?
Look who's here for you in this stage right now. I mean, it's a great optic for Biden, and it's a horrible optic for Trump. It's like, I'm showing up. I will show up to work for the American people every day. He's running away.
Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, I think that's a great way to end this tonight. I'll start with Lou. Anything you want to add before we kill this?
No, I was going to text you a picture to put on. I came before you got here. The neighbor's horse got out.
We are, Frank. When I tell you, Lou and I live in Mayberry,
and I wanted, because if I send you the picture to put on, I was going to say, here's more proof we live in Mayberry, because I took a picture with the horse.
I mean, honestly, Frank, at least you live in town, okay? Which is like, where you live in is 50 years behind everybody else. We're 50 years behind you, okay? I mean, it's terrible. It really is. It's so sad. Frank, what do you think? Anything you want to say before we kill this?
I just want to give people some good news. I mean, I think we have we can believe in this piece of truth that Zlatan Ibrahimovic, the ageless wonder who is still playing soccer at such a high level, he had unfortunately contracted the coronavirus and now has been declared over that battle. He's tested negative, so we can see the return of Zlatan to the pitch again.
And I'll tell you, and I'll be honest with you, soccer just isn't soccer without Ibra. Okay, it's not.
Yeah.
Lou, it is the equivalent of the NFL without Ocho Cinco.
Yeah.
And I hate to leave you on I hate to leave you on this. Did you hear the news about Tunch-Ilkin today?
No.
I have not. No.
Longtime Steeler and longtime broadcaster, and I didn't realize
Love Tunch.
He actually is. NFL teams across the league use him for consultation for coaching and offensive line.
Yeah, he's a tremendous mind about that for sure. What's up?
Yeah.
He was diagnosed with ALS this week.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah, he went to, I guess, UPMC, then he went to the Cleveland Clinic from what they said. And he says, I've been a fighter my whole life. I'm not quitting now. I did get a chance to meet him. I've seen him speak twice and I met him once, but he does a lot of motivational speaking. He is a very good speaker.
Tremendous guy. Tremendous. Yeah.
He took a beating in the NFL, and you can see it even before this diagnosis. I saw him walking around about 10 years ago down by the Rib Fest at by Heinz Field, and you could see him struggling to walk at times because of just imagine the pounding he took. He had some insane statistic. We'll have to look it up for next week, but it's something like one season where he went the whole season without giving up a sack. I mean, crazy, right? I mean, go a whole season without giving up a single sack at your position as an offensive lineman.
And he wasn't an overly big lineman either. He was just technically smart.
Yep.
Yeah.
And play the game.
Yeah, he knew his position and he knew it really well. That's too bad because he's a legitimate guy.
Yeah.
That's too bad, but oh well. Okay, everybody, thank you so very much for joining us. You have no idea how much we appreciate it. We will be back Tuesday. Guys, I got like 4 weeks left of my class, and then we can get back to normal. Same bad time, same bad channel on Tuesday. And until then, have a great weekend. And so my mom doesn't get pissed at me, I got to say it because Frank, you hit it right on the head, right? You don't never piss off mom. Say goodbye, good luck, and God bless. We'll see everybody tomorrow. Or I'm sorry, on Tuesday. Goodbye.